All right, welcome back. We're in conversation with Mmamoloko Kubayi, of course, ANC member that, of course, also currently campaigning for the ANC deputy presidency. Thank you so much for staying with us. And we recently just got out of the GBV presidential summit. Being a woman, not only in the ANC Women's League, a woman within the ANC, but also now campaigning for the top job of deputy president. Are you satisfied with the outcomes of the GBV summit?
Look, I do believe that at some point when we have conversations, we need to start being focused, especially as women. I do think that we could have done better at the summit, especially the participants, all of us, and not really judging, but I think we need to move away from the protest and fight and to the more action, more conversations that are more constructive. Yeah, it was just unfortunate. To remember the first, it was not as bad as the first one. I must say, if you remember the first one where we had protest of underwears and all those things. This one as well, there were quite a number of protests. And sometimes as well, you find that even how the conversations are happening, I think we can do better. I do feel that we can do better. The issue of GBV, it's not only a government matter, it's a societal matter. It starts in the families. It starts with how we socialize even our children. It starts with the conversations that we are not having as families, as parents, with our children. You know, it goes to even the point where sometimes I would know a perpetrator, but I would protect the perpetrator. It's those things beyond policy, beyond government resources being provided. And I do think that there's quite a lot that is being done from policy point of view and legislative point of view. I think we've done very well compared to many countries globally in what we are doing. But I think even how we get to be able to say how all of us, civil society, play a role, the churches play a role, the traditional leaders, the traditional healers play a role in also for us to be able to deal with gender-based violence. It's not only a women's issue and for women to deal with, it's societal, all of us, both men and women, being able to stand with. It remains a major challenge.
Right.
And I say, because when you look at it, I mean, living in fear as women, it constrains your ability of what you can do. When you can't drive at night, you are scared to drive at night because anything can happen to you. You're not only scared of being hijacked or anything, but you're scared that in that process I can be raped as a woman, you know. Staying in your house, fearing that there can be intruders. When they come as a woman, you don't only fear that people have intruded your house, you fear that they can intrude your body. So it's those things, they constrain us as women, and that's why we've got to be able to fight and understand that we can't reach potential in society as long as we have this challenge.
I have to ask you to put on your government minister hat on, if I may, right now, because we're running out of time. But there have been a lot of concerns coming in from the Free State province. I'm sure you're not oblivious to this, very much aware, because the MEC for Human Settlements, Mmamoloko, actually made a comment on this. This is regarding 15 Department Human Settlement employees who have been implicated in illegally occupying government housing units meant for low-income earners. What is being done about this? Because the allegations are quite serious. Officials within the department are aiming to defraud the state and enriching themselves by either occupying these low-cost houses or even renting them out. Are you aware of this, Minister, and what's being done?
Look, within the human settlements portfolio, I can tell you there are quite a number of challenges, especially around the illegality, corruption, that we've been, since I got into the portfolio, I've been exposed to. Free State is one of the issues, serious problems that we've had, where not only around officials who would have, you know, occupied houses, but even where you found, I mean, it's gruesome issues that you think, how do you as a human being, how do you as a South African citizen do this? Where you find a company is appointed on Thursday, it's given money up front against PFMA, done by the same officials, against PFMA. On Monday, the company draws the money all out, like 200 million, draws it out of the accounts. On Tuesday, the company claims liquidation. Those are the realities I have to deal with in this portfolio. and have to literally start cleaning and say, we will get charges, open cases for individuals. I had to hand over a file to SIU on issues around land, escalation of prices, issues of unfinished projects across the country, where you find that projects were done, were started, money has been paid, but there's no house. And I always say to them, I'm not a minister for a foundation. We don't promise people foundations, we promise them houses. Therefore, we've got to hand over houses. And if they're not complete, money is gone, it's something else. If then somebody left and then didn't take the money, it's a different case.
Right.
So with those officials, I'm aware of a lot of challenges we have and we continue to do. It's not only in Free State, in KZN where we have officials as well.
Right.
Who have done in Mpumalanga as well the same thing. Some of them have been arrested, dismissed at work. So they go various places. Obviously, we have to implement the consequences through within the law.
And if I may, Minister, because we've run out of time, briefly, if you may, also mention the construction mafia is a problem, is an issue, a challenge for your department, and the housing issue in KZN as well due to the flooding. What's your comment on that briefly?
Look, let me start with the issue around the housing. We started looking at KZN when we were the floods, putting people in temporary houses. Obviously, the challenges of land that we couldn't, land availability. One, it would have been the construction mafia that disrupts some of the project. And then what we see now, which is growing trend, not in my neighborhood. When you want to put temporary shelters, you've got a land closer to suburbs, then they say not in our neighborhood. So you have those challenges. So we had those challenges in eThekwini specifically. So what we had now taken 2 months ago, gone to cabinet to request a permission to start renting apartments or flats or student accommodation that are not done, because previously we were not allowed to, so that we can move them. So we've moved quite a number. We currently left with about 60 halls to close out of 120.
All right.
We're wanting to close them before the 15th of December, all of them moving. Obviously, now we have been constrained by availability of the apartments, and we do believe that as we go on, some of the private sector are availing those land. Construction mafias is a very big problem for us, because they take 30% from a construction project and they don't work. You know, it's better because we do have policy to say subcontracting. If it's a bigger company, bigger project, they need to spend 30% on local economic development. So subcontracting for 30% of the overall project, which is happening. But what we are seeing with this criminality is that they go and take 30% and go and sit at home. Now the project becomes unviable, and some of the contractors or those who have given developers then leave site, and then we have a lot of projects that are not finished.
And a backlog as well as a department.
But we've now we are going to have a joint MINMEC between ourselves and the police, so that we can find lasting solutions.
Well, I appreciate you, of course, joining us. We could talk the whole day, but thank you so much for joining me. Mmamoloko Kubayi, of course, ANC ECT Chair, as well as Minister in the Human Settlements Department. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for a long conversation. Hopefully, of course, that helps you to better understand why she's campaigning and also the work they're doing within human settlements.